Hi everyone, welcome back to the Zicast. I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by communications professional Gatta.
I'm actually excited to do this because I'm excited to show my kids this in like 20 years. I just want to clarify, I don't have kids right now. I mean, later on when I do, eventually do.
Yeah, especially with this cool space as you see behind us. This is you and your suite mates' college dorm.
Yeah, this is like
At its
nerd
peak.
haven. And tiny anecdote to explain this big box behind us. When the Thunderbolts came out, they have these standees in like the Cinemark theaters that, workers get first dibs on. But if you ask them, you get put on a wait list. And if they by the end of the movie's run, they're like, you know what, nobody wants to take this, and you're at the top of the wait list, they just give it to you. So we got it after Thunderbolts came out, brought it back to the dorm, assembled it.
Yeah.
And it's now the centerpiece.
It would be funny if the movie's good, and it's funny if the movie's bad. Because if it's bad, then you just have a bad movie here. But the fact that the movie was really, really good makes it that much better.
Yeah, we really fought for the Joker Folie à Deux standee. We were fighting for that one. No, we weren't.
And then, of course, all these helmets. And I think it explains a lot about you and your interest in things like media. And we could kind of jump into that here. So how about you kick things off by kind of telling us about yourself?
Yeah, so again, my name is Jack Gatta, G-A-T-T-A, not Gatta. I always think Gatta swing, like bada swing. I came here to Quinnipiac as a film major. And I love the art of creating. Like my passions lie in content creation, whether it's working on like a film set or just being on like a shoot for the client. Like I'm in the agency for Quinnipiac, which I'm sure we'll get to. I love creating even like on a computer, if it's graphic design, like Photoshop, Canva, like creating graphics, motion graphics, like all of it. And it just kind of encompasses that I feel like I'm an all-arounder. Like that's my goal. I can do all sorts of things. I could be on a live sports broadcast. I can be at a film set. So that's like where my passion lies. I'm just kind of following wherever the vine takes me at this point.
Something I've always said is that Swiss Army knives cut the sharpest. That's not true, but it symbolically that being well-rounded really pays off, especially in this field where a lot of skills are very transferable. So Jack, I want to take you back and kind of see like where your passion for all of this started.
So funny enough, people don't realize this. I was so close to coming to Quinnipiac for business. I was going to come here and do like the accounting, the whole shebang. Because I loved accounting in high school. I loved math. I'm a math guy. I was never a science guy. So when I came here, I did the business tour. And I toured the business buildings. I learned about the classes and everything. And by the end of that tour, I ended up in front of the McMahon building, which was not the Dome at the time. And I walked in and I was looking around. I saw the control room. I saw the nice classrooms with all the equipment. I was like, whoa. And for people who go to Quinnipiac, there was that like blue conference room with all those nice tables and lighting and everything. And standing inside of that room is Ash Brandon, who I did not know was Ash Brandon at the time, of course. And she had a wonderful 20-minute conversation with us about being a film major, about being in the communications program, answered all our questions, and that turned me. It was like a switch flipped. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this stuff. This is cool. And sure enough, she becomes my capstone advisor years later, and I'm like, you're the reason I became communications. And she's like, oh, I talked to so many students, so I'd be lying if I said I remembered that exact conversation 4 years ago. But yeah, that's how I turned out to be a film major.
Sorry, I keep getting distracted because your roommates keep texting me the exact things you're saying as you're saying them in our group chat.
They're literally down the hallway. We're filming this where I live, so they're literally right in the hallway, probably listening and giggling.
I'm getting a transcript while we're talking, and then they're texting me the things I'm saying right now. Of course, the McMahon Center, that's like one of our communications building, Ash Brandon, a film professor who I was fortunate enough to have on here, and a lot of great professors like that here at Quinnipiac. But I know you've done a lot of performing as well, especially in comedy. Can you take us into kind of what led you into that and your passion for that?
Yeah, and it's so funny because I came in freshman year not expecting, because I was in high school kind of in a shell. I'm sure, as most people are, they're a lot different compared to high school and college. So when I came to college, I'm like, it's probably about time that I try to do something new and fun. And that's when I auditioned for Quinnipiac Tonight. Like, I think auditions were like September of my freshman year. And that was daunting. But the reason I did it is because I always felt like I had that kind of side to me where there's just a switch or a mode that turns on in my head where I'm like, this is not like you, this is just a performance you're putting on. It's like how like Jim Carrey has a great quote where he's like, I had a lot of fun playing Jim Carrey for all those years. And I can attest to that because just being silly, goofy, and throwing yourself around a room and then walking out of it going, yeah, so like, how was your day? You know, that was a lot of fun. It's like it's like two different people. So I was able to kind of separate it from who I am in a healthy way, you know, not doing anything too stupid. But I love the art of experimentation, and making people laugh is a good feeling, no matter which format it is. So then, of course, I translate that to Comic Sans now, which I'm a part of. And improv is just so much fun in the sense that it's like a playground. Like that's what comedy is to me. It's a playground. You can try this. Some things fall flat on their face. You make a joke or you say something, you're like, it didn't work exactly as I thought it did. But then you come up with something else, and you feel the room change. That's what I love. So that's why I keep doing it.
So Quinnipiac Tonight is a sketch comedy group, kind of like Saturday Night Live, but here at Quinnipiac, Comic Sans is an improv troupe. How do those two compare from sketch comedy to improv, outside of like the obvious of one being scripted and one not being scripted?
Yeah, it's very different in the sense that like sketch comedy, of course, there's a lot more preparation that goes into it. There's writing the scripts, there's assigning people to who's going to be in which sketch, there's the producers and getting the equipment. There's so much preparation for like the day that it happens. Whereas improv, the only preparation is just like flexing your muscles and getting the fundamentals down. So in terms of Quinnipiac Tonight, you know going in obviously what the script is going to be, what you're performing. You come in with ideas, which in improv is considered cheating. But so it's different in that sense. Of course, when you're on stage, you can kind of experiment that way when it's not the sketches and try different things. But the main difference though between improv and sketch is like the fundamentals of it. Because sketch comedy, like the writing is supposed to be zing, zang, it's supposed to hit different beats. And in improv, you're also hitting beats, but the way that you get there is so much different. Because what the main part of improv is finding the game. Like it's not just trying to make the best joke. It's about literally finding like a dynamic between your characters, whether it's like yes man, you know, peas in a pod, fish out of water, like finding scenarios and really finding the deep roots of that as to why the characters are behaving this way and justifying it. And so that's what's different about improv. It's like it's a game, and you build on that in different like long form ways.
So yeah, let me kind of take you into that a little more. Also, something I forgot to shout out our technical director, Presley Schmitt. I usually do that at the beginning, but we had a conversation about the Thunderbolts.
My bad.
No, not at all. So at the beginning of an improv scene, can you take us into kind of how you go about kind of constructing a scene? Let's say someone from the audience, just for example of what you do at Comic Sans, someone just gives you a word and you and the scene partner have to figure something out. What's like those like first few seconds of a scene look like?
Yeah, so going into a scene is the scariest part, but it's also the most fun. Because what I try to do is you usually don't have the game of the scene figured out right away. It usually kind of blossoms as you're going along. So I try to enter a scene with like a funny idea, like something you can build off of. And they always teach you, like I want to shout out my improv teacher, Kevin Daly. I don't know if anybody here at Quinnipiac had Kevin Daly. He is awesome, and they're teaching advanced improv now. Take it. It is an awesome class. And one thing that he would always enforce and teach us is that you got to establish the base reality. So it's the like, what is going on? Who are we? Where are we? Why do we feel this way? And sort of like the beginning so that you can get to like the other stuff. But coming in with a funny idea is something I love doing because that leads to the game. So if someone shouts a word like watermelon, I could walk up to you and initiate the scene and be like, dude, help me. I'm choking on a watermelon. and you could say something like, but you're talking. I'm like, I know. And it's so okay, so my character's choking on a watermelon. I'm talking. There's no visible strain. Then you get to the game of finding out why. Maybe I'm lying. Maybe I'm like, you know, I love fruit so much. That's my justification. Like, I just love fruit. I don't want to chop it up. It's just so adorable. Like something stupid. It could be that dumb. But yeah, just like coming in with like a funny idea is what I think of in the first 3 seconds. It's just sort of bouncing off of the partner. Because it's not a one-person show, thankfully.
Yeah, and also committing to the bit too. Like if someone went up to you and you said, like, "Oh, I'm choking on the watermelon," you can't just say, "No, you're not." Like it's just you can't. You have to go with whatever your partner gives you, and then kind of like sync up mentally and kind of feed off each other in that way. And I'm curious, like when going into a scene, how do you really kind of go about constructing that scene? Do you ever go in with a plan, or is it kind of just all completely on the fly? That's something that's always kind of amazed me about people who do improv, is just coming up with something right there on the spot.
The biggest and most important part of improv is, and what they always will teach you, is to make your partner look good.
Yeah.
That is your goal. And if you're making each other look good, it is like seamless. So when someone comes out, and maybe because a scene can go in many different directions. If you initiate the scene, you may not be the one establishing what the game is.
Yeah.
It could be someone from the back line walking on and giving you something as they, do like a quick little bit for you. It could be someone in the back making like a phone call or a noise, or your partner could spark something and then you realize that's the funny thing in the scene. So whenever that happens, you might have had an idea on your head. Something might have clicked, but then you have to adapt and adjust, because you can't just be like, no, I don't want you to do your idea. I want to do my idea. Because then the audience will notice that. It will suck them out of it. You just have to literally go with the flow, even if it's not what you planned for. And when I say planned for, I mean in the moment planned for.
Yeah.
Because your partner, and sometimes your partner says something awesome. And you're like, you know what? My idea, screw that. We're doing this now.
Yeah.
So it's not always on your shoulders. That's the fun part about it. It's like, sometimes you're like, it's relief when your partner gives you something so good to work with. So yeah, I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to adapt. That's all it's about.
Yeah, and like that willingness to adjust and pivot. And I kind of like what you said about like making your partner look. It's kind of like a dance.
Yes.
In that way, where it's like you make the other person look good, they make you look good, and it's got kind of seamlessness. And I'm curious, like the skills that you're picking up through improv, does it help you communicate in real life or outside of like the improv scene, that ability to like be very aware of your surroundings?
Yeah, of course. And something it really lends to, and something that translates both ways, is, I'm sure they'll hear down the hall, something we do hear a lot, are bits.
Yeah.
You live in the bit, you commit to it, and you follow it till the end. So having that dichotomy with people, where it's like you're able to make a joke and it expands. Like that's like improv opens a whole door to interactions like that. And it also, I found, helps me in life kind of find ways to make a conversation more lively.
Yeah.
It might sound silly, but like I've had conversations with people where I'm like, I don't really know them. I don't know a lot about them. I'm not comfortable around them, because so we all have that barrier. Once it's lifted, it's like, haha, funny. We can say whatever we want, But there's a lot of people that I'm like in classes with or stuff, and there's that barrier. But finding ways to kind of like poke through it with like impromptu questions, or like it's almost like you're doing a scene. Like somebody else, like that gets in my head. I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking this way again. This is just like so crazy. But it's like initiating. Like improv is all about initiating. It's all about going with the flow. So that's helped me a lot in my social life.
What's your favorite food? Pizza. Yes, and continuing that in a way like makes you more personable.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of socialize with people in so many different ways. And then kind of like from your experience on stage so far, has there been a specific moment or anything like that that's really like surprised you?
Yeah, there was. So for my class, my improv class, we had a final like performance where we had to get an audience. It was like family and friends and all of that. And there was one moment where we were out doing a group scene. And I was in this situation where my character was kind of being set up to sing. And if you don't know this about me, I'm not a good singer. I don't sing in front of people. I do karaoke in my car, I'm not going to lie. We all do, right? But this was the spot where I had to sing in front of people. And I was not expecting to do that. But that other side of me said, this is not you. It's like a performative version of you. So just go and do it, because they're going to love it. It would suck if you just went like, find a way out of it. Like that's when I really learned, just go for it. Just jump at it. And I sang like Pavarotti, if I'm saying that right, as I wear my Italian sweatshirt. So it really surprised me, because I was not expecting to have to break through the shell that I always had for myself. I never sing in front of people. I don't really I'm not like a singer or a dancer. So like the stage is a way for me to get comfortable with that and to accept it and embrace it.
Yeah. And I really like what you said too. I know you said this earlier about like kind of being outside of yourself And especially in regards to acting, Ethan Hawke was being interviewed. He talked about this, how like acting is perceived as being like a celebration of the self, but really it's about becoming somebody else. So in a way, even though you're a comedic actor, you're not playing like a specific person, you're yourself, you're playing a character, you're being able to kind of get outside of yourself. And also you mentioned our roommates, I'll mention them by name because they were former guests here. Michael Rada, Alex Bean, and Sean Valutkevich, all former Zicast guests who are listening in from down the hall. So yeah, and you kind of took us through all these really awesome experiences in improv and how they've impacted you, but also with your roommates, directed by Alex Bean, you worked on Out of Focus, your senior thesis capstone film. Can you take us into your experience with that?
Yeah, that is probably one of, if not the greatest experience I've ever had. It taught me a lot. And it's an intensive amount of work over the course of the year. Like the first semester, fall, is the pre-production. Spring is the post-production. And I was the sound designer for Out of Focus, and I'm incredibly proud of my work. We're getting it ready to ship out to festivals very soon. And the biggest thing with that I was so proud of with us is that we were always a team. Any issues that we faced, anything that came at us, we solved it as a team. There was nothing internal. There was no butting heads. It was like we were in it together. Anything that happened was external, and we solved it. And that was such a good feeling. I had a fantastic team. Again, I'll list them all by name. Alex Bean was the director. Sean Valutkevich was the producer. Z, as we know her, but Susanna Tarnacki was the editor. Jill Flynn was the production designer. Aaron Epstein was the DP. And JJ was the the AD, and we all stayed at this house for a week together and lived there, because that's where we shot. We shot exclusively at this house, and people don't realize how much of a bonding experience it is to live with the people you're working with. And I don't mean that in real life. I just, like in a film set, don't like live at work with the people you work with, but like living on set with the people that you're filming with constantly throughout the day and thinking about it and brainstorming and watching Is It Cake at night. It's such a bonding experience. And a film set is so crazy because it's so unpredictable. You come in with a plan, and every time the world manages to attack your plan. So finding ways to adapt to it. And of course, my biggest role was sound. So I had the mix pre strapped over my shoulders. I was holding the boom mic. I was wiring up actors. I was hearing all, see all. I heard their lav mics, my boot, like everything was like, it was just like crazy sense overload. But it was like the most fun few days of filming of my life. And I look back on that fondly because it taught me a lot of responsibility. And I highly suggest any film majors here, you know, it is their capstone, so they kind of have to do it, but like do it with a passion. Like find something about it that you love, because if you are just going through the motions, it's not going to be the same. Like if there's something that's not right for you, find a way to change that, or else you're going to regret it later. Like find a spot that you're just like so happy to be in.
And I'm curious, like, do you have any like specific favorite memory from that experience that really sticks with you?
Like something we did a few days in was we had to film in the dining room. There was a scene. It was a flashback scene because the premise of the movie is the main character is moving out of the house and she finds her old phone and travels back through the memories and encounters her deceased mother in these memories. So this scene in the dining room is like the final flashback with the mother, the whole family, like every character's there in that room. And that was such a fun scene to film because something we did at the end, I think it was Alex's call maybe, was just sort of like improving the interactions between the family, because it was the whole thing is that it was going to be like disconjointed audio, like visuals cutting, like nothing was matching. It's just, and then it hectic, and then she flashes back to the future. So we did multiple takes, like improving the interactions, and it was so hilarious, some of the takes. And some of them were so funny that we couldn't really use them because it takes you out of the moment. But that made me feel like I was really on a film set. I'm like, this is like Phil Lord and Chris Miller going, okay, we did the script part, let's just make stuff up. So we had the actors make stuff up, and some students here at Quinnipiac might know who played the mother, Raya Seymour, who was an acting professor here. Wonderful, amazing actress. And I actually had her class. She's amazing. So that's my standout memory, because it was like, it wasn't like the final shot, of the movie necessarily, but it was the final scene where we had everybody there, like literally everybody in one room. So that was like at the end of that, we celebrated, you know, it was basically like the final shot of the movie, and then we had like another day to film. So it's always the memories, because you know what they mean in the moment. Yeah. It's like, don't take it for granted. It's the last time you're gonna have all these people in this room together doing this scene, like doing this. Just have fun with it. And we were laughing, and we had like the little seltzer. You know, they get that from like Walmart, and they pop it. Yeah, so that's definitely my favorite memory. Yeah.
Instead of the martini shot, it's the seltzer shot.
It's the seltzer shot. Exactly. That's what we did.
And takes us back to improv, funnily enough. But the scene was improv. And I think it's a great way to show like film is ultimate team sport, also ultimate collaborative, or simultaneously ultimate collaborative sport. And then being able to, just Alex letting them kind of let loose, I think speaks to your guys' background in comedy. And then just even maybe not taking it too seriously, or not needing to take it too seriously all the time. And that this is fun and play too, while also being, you know, something very serious. So it really says a lot about the set culture that you guys were able to pull that off and then make something that you're really proud of, and kind of sticking on things you're really proud of. You mentioned your work with the agency at Quinnipiac. If you don't mind explaining what that is and what you've done for them.
Yeah. So the agency here at Quinnipiac, who our TD Presley was also a part of, we have the same role actually, is a student-run marketing agency. We take on real clients, mostly like local. Yeah. Like all of our clients this semester are local. And it's divided into different teams. Like you have the graphic design team, the social media team, content copy, photo, video, social media. Like you have different teams, and there's VPs and members of each team, and there's account executives for each client that are like the main source of communication. And my role in the agency is the sole VP of photo, video, mainly because like how the numbers worked out, what people wanted. So I'm the one shooting things. I'm the one taking photos, and I have my wonderful team helping me where they can. But like because I bought my own camera, which is the one right here.
Yes.
So I bought it because the agency actually inspired me to invest in my own camera and work with the clients on different shoots. Like just last week, I shot a crash course video where I like rented out a camera. It was a whole thing. I got pictures. It was such a cool thing. We had like the CEO of the client come in and do like a part, and I was in front of the camera, like, you know, like the Green Brothers make their YouTube videos, like sort of that style to explain their role in the fintech industry. But the agency is so cool in the sense that like it is a class, but it's not a class. And it's not like the professor is there assigning you the work. You're assigning yourselves the work. You're coming up with the ideas. You're working with the clients. The clients give you things that they want. And it's always different every week. Like I couldn't tell you what I'm going to do for it next week. But yeah, my role is a lot of editing video, editing photos, like taking working candidates within the agency. So it's a really fun experience. And it's taught me a lot about like managing my time and just being flexible. Like being present is more important than you could ever imagine. Like just going to something, even if your help is not as much as you thought it would be, just being present is so important.
I mean, pun semi-intended, you are a jack of all trades. And I feel like that's like the agency is like the evolution of that, you being able to do so many different things for them. And of course, work with clients too, which I'm sure is very helpful, being able to use those communication skills to communicate with clients. Do you have any specific favorite memories from that so far that's taught you something or that's been really rewarding?
I'll go back and mention that like the crash course video that we filmed. That was me and an account exec for this client. We filmed the Connecticut Innovations, like the offices in New Haven. Yeah. And we had to, like, I went in with like sort of a plan. hadn't been able to go to the space beforehand. So it was a lot of improv. Again, finding out where to put the lights. I ended up having to like 86, that's Presley's favorite word, had to 86 one of the lights because it wasn't working. Like it was just a lot of figuring out and problem solving and just having fun in the middle of it. And just getting a setup that I'm really proud of. Like that's satisfying. Once the setup is done and you're like, okay, this looks good. This is going to be fun. And then you just let loose. Like I'm reading the script. I'm doing bits to like each camera. Like I'm looking at this one and then I'm looking at this one and saying something. And it was just a lot of fun to be like in front of the camera as well as behind it at the same time. It's sort of like John Krasinski directing A Quiet Place. Like he was the one directing himself. I'm like, you know what? That didn't work. I'm like, I'm the one saying it. So that was a blast. That that was a long and fun shoot. And something else I also had a lot of fun with was shooting Restaurant Week for Hamden Chamber of Commerce, because they had Restaurant Week last month or two ago. So I was bouncing around to different restaurants and walking in, and the part about like our work that people don't think about right away is how many people you have to talk to and ask permission to do things.
Yeah.
Like I'm walking in these restaurants, like, is it okay if I like shoot some video? Is it okay like if I talk like interview like one of your workers? And one of them had to do like a corporate thing they couldn't, and the other one was like too busy, so I had to do voiceovers. But it was just fun bouncing between these different places and then just compiling it all together and choosing music and editing the motion graphics and all of that. And just finding a way to tell the story visually that's interesting was a lot of fun. Like I went to Ixtapa.
Yeah.
I'm sure people in the area are fans of Ixtapa, love that place. I shot there, and like the guy, I don't know if you have been there, but they do this thing where they have like the steamed food, and he comes out and he yells, "Fire! Fire!" So I'm like walking behind him as he's going, "Fire!" So I like use that in the video, of course. So it's just a lot of like finding moments that are like, oh, I gotta get this, which is a blessing and a curse. You can't live, you gotta live in the moment. Yeah. In the sense that, oh, I gotta get it.
Like we said before, kind of brings everything full circle with all your film skills. I'm curious, asked you before, what differentiates sketch comedy from improv comedy? What differentiates kind of scripted filmmaking from unscripted filmmaking like that in your eyes?
Yeah. In terms of scripted filmmaking, it's like something that I find myself doing is just like if I'm listening to a song or something, my little film brain will imagine a scene happening with that music as a backdrop. And I literally picture the shots, the stage, like I see it in my head. And I'm sure that happens for a lot of people, a lot of directors who are like working on short films and stuff. They see it in their head beforehand. But with impromptu, like when you're filming for a client, like you're going to somewhere you've never been before. And like I went to film the crash course. I'd never been in the offices. I didn't know the lighting. I didn't know where things were. Like sort of figuring it out as you go is like a specialty. Like get good at that. Get good at going in as prepared and unprepared as you can be. Because it's tough to like figure out where you want to put the lights, where you want to set up everything. Whereas in scripted filmmaking, you typically have a team of people who have that stuff figured out for you. Yeah. It's not like you're going out and shooting for your client's not going to be Martin Scorsese. He's just going to be the one that's doing it and have the plan. So that's what I enjoy about scripted filmmaking too. Because I trap myself. I see the scenes in my head. With impromptu, where you're doing something for a client, I don't really see it in my head. I just kind of like in the moment. Like in the crash course video, for example, the CEO for our client was there for a little bit to do a part. And we were trying to figure out a way to like do an outro. Because he had more time available and he could do the outro. And I was like, oh, what if I like slide my chair over and then you just come like sliding in casually, like saying your lines. And I was like, that'll be fun, right? And he slides in and I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, that was such a good chair slide. Like that just worked.
Yeah, and it all happens on the fly, kind of like improv. So it really, because I asked you before too, like those improv skills, those how they impact your kind of real life. That's a great example of that, is being able to see something like, oh, we could do this. And then that's where the filmmaking skills come in. And kind of through all of these experiences, or even though we got into all these experiences, I'd like to ask you some things about yourself, some fun, get to know you questions. What are some things people might not know about you, like some fun facts?
A little fun fact about me that I'll start with is, it might be funny, ironic to say, considering all the things we've been talking about, but I'm a very like private and reserved person. Like I'm not very like outwards or super outgoing or anything. I love my alone time. I love like quiet spaces. Like I've been to Auntie's one time. Like clubbing at Auntie's once in my whole life. Am I gonna do it again? Probably not. So I'm not in like enjoying loud spaces. I love gatherings and everything, but like I'm a very quiet, reserved person. So I might be like, so you're on stage doing all these silly things, but it goes back to the whole, but that's not me. Yeah. That's like a performative version of me. So that's something fun. I mean, if you want to consider that fun. But I've always been that way since high school, of course. So another fun thing is that I am a massive Patriots fan. Love Boston sports. Mainly like, I like the Red Sox. I don't follow baseball that much, but I love like the Patriots and the Celtics. For all those Jets fans at home, sorry. But my grandmother has season tickets for the Patriots. So we go to some of their games every year, and I was fortunate enough to be present for the Patriots playoff games this past season, where they were hosting the Chargers and the Texans, where it ultimately ended up with them losing the Super Bowl, but I wasn't expecting them to win anyways. It's okay. So I love Boston sports, love Drake May. I'm a Drake May sucker, guys. I gotta admit. I don't know if anybody saw him shave his head for charity the other day. So I adore Boston sports. I grew up loving them. You know, I was born after Tom Brady started. That's like, it's like hitting me now that he's just going to turn 50. But like my parents were present, or my mom and my grandmother were present for the Raiders game in the snow where they had the tuck rule. Like they were there for that. Like,
Wow.
There's something so cool and like historic about that. So yeah, I love Boston sports.
And you were a Patriots fan at the right time growing up when
Yes.
their dynasty, and then Lil Lull, and then drafting Drake May, and then being able to, in the second year, be able to go to the Super Bowl. And yeah, and you kind of mentioned too, like being like a reserve person, but doing all of these kind of performing and all this film stuff. It's always like one of the big reasons why I do this, because of how multifaceted people are, and to kind of learn more about that, because it is interesting that there's certain things people can do when they kind of tap into their full potential. And then kind of moving onwards, I'd like to ask you, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
I'll start with something I strongly dislike. I'll keep it in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
Because something that I noticed has happened a lot, like the last decade, maybe 20 years, but it's more so like recent times.
Yeah.
The height of social media is that a lot of projects feel like they're made by committees. Like the decisions that are being made are like just not, they're just like shallow decisions. Whether it's like constantly reiterating the plot to the viewer, which I know is something that they're doing. Like Netflix is forcing their movies to do that now, to keep saying the plot because people are not watching, like they're on their phones. And it feels like these projects are trying to retroactively solve a problem that was like no other fault but their own.
Yeah.
And especially with like Marvel movies as of like this decade, as of late, since Endgame, just feel very made by a committee. Like the effects are getting a little worse, which is really weird, even though the budgets are ballooning, mostly for cast maybe. Like he made it, like we saw the Mario movie last night, he made a funny comment of like half of the budget went to the cast probably. So it's like all these like big stars in these movies where they don't really need to be big stars, but I get that they are the draw. But it's just like I when I watch something and I'm like, I can feel the rewrites, I can feel the reshoots, I feel like I'm taken out of it because I just see like who's like with like controlling the puppet in the background. So that's something I strongly dislike for sure.
Especially this medium as well. People gravitate towards authenticity, and they gravitate towards an artist's vision. And I feel that they could kind of see when something's manufactured to just hit the widest possible audience instead of something kind of more intimate, personal. Like I always think about, like you mentioned the Marvel, I always think about the first Iron Man movie. When you think about how personal it is for like Robert Downey Jr., as it was like Tony Stark's story is kind of like Robert Downey Jr.'s like recovering from all the things that happened in his past to find his way back to being sober and back into acting. So like that kind of personal, intimate story started the universe. And then as we see, as things get larger, it becomes more this bigger brand. Sometimes it could kind of lose that kind of intimate personal focus. And like you've seen other MCU movies like Black Panther are going to have that same feel. But when there gets so many more voices, it could get kind of muddied like that. And especially also, like you said, in the current day and age where Netflix is worried about people on their phones, so they keep having to explain stuff. It's also why movie theaters are so important too, because you sit there, you're just focusing on what you're seeing on the screen. Movies need to keep giving things to get people in theaters, like what Ryan Gosling said recently on the cusp of Project Hail Mary, saying, well, like studios, we need to keep creating stuff that gets people in theaters. There also needs to be that commitment from audiences to commit to what they're watching. And the thing that you love on the flip side of that question.
On the flip side of that question, I'll nerd out for you a little bit. I love playing video games. I have always played them ever since I was a kid. I would always play them with my dad growing up. I just adore them because it's like the cure for boredom. Like if I'm like sitting in my room and like, okay, I finished my homework. I don't have like a commitment for another couple hours. Beep. And then you just sit back and relax. And there's so many different forms of it. There's like the multiplayer. Like I like Call of Duty. I'm a shill. I know. Like I like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I love playing. I love playing story games as well. Like I'm a massive fan of the Telltale games, like The Walking Dead's especially, where there's just such an intimate story to it. And it's such a unique medium because there's just so many things you could do with it. And like my friend from home, like he lives in his own place. He's working a lot now. I'm at school here. I'm doing a lot of like work as a student.
Yeah.
So being able to like just hit beep and join a party with my buddy at night is so cool. And it's like that's a way we connect when we can't like meet in person a lot anymore, or at least, you know, in like certain times when I'm like at school and stuff. So it's like, it's not only a way for me to wind down, it's a way for me to like connect to people. And it's how I've connected with my dad throughout the years. Like we played like, I don't know if anybody remembers like the Friday the 13th horror game from like almost 10 years ago. We played that all the time. We love the horror asymmetrical genre. I played Call of Duty a lot with him growing up. Unfortunately, it's gotten to hyper fast, like he doesn't like it anymore. But we used to play all like the old Black Ops games and stuff. And even I played Mario Kart with my mom and like Mario Party with her and stuff. It's just a fun way to connect to people. It's like an activity. So I've always loved doing it, and I'll suck a lot of hours into it.
It's just another way to like use something like art to connect with other people, connect with your family. And I know I have to bring this up that you're a big Simpsons fan too, right?
Yes.
If you want to add anything onto that.
Yeah, of course. I am a massive Simpsons fan. Oddly enough, this might sound funny because I know it's technically like an adult cartoon, but I like grew up with The Simpsons. It was on a lot in my household. Like my dad grew up watching it because he was like, you know, he was out of high school when it came out. So it was like prime, you know, for him to be watching it. He's watched it through all the years. And I just loved like the animation of it as a kid. You know, a lot of like the more adult humor, it's not as in your face as like Family Guy.
Yeah.
It's not like Peter, you know, saying something. You're like, whoa, a kid can't hear that. It's more subtle in The Simpsons. So I was able to watch it. It would just go over my head.
Yeah.
And I used to play, of course, touching back on the games, they had a couple Simpsons games that I would play as a kid, like Hit and Run is a classic one. They had a couple others that I would play. Like, I just loved the characters. And even as a kid, I had a lot of figurines. It's in my garage in a bin somewhere, but I had a lot of Simpsons like figurines and stuff. So I love the humor of the show because it's so timely. There's always like a subtle message in there about like something that's going on in society or contemporary times that they find a way to interweave into the story so that it's like you come out of the episode like, oh, that was very clever, that was meaningful. It's not just slapstick to be slapstick. There's like a purpose behind it. So I've always resonated with that.
And crazy long running too.
Yes.
It's the longest running show, ever now.
I know, it's like 30, might be, no, it's like 36, 30, 37. I'm not making a joke.
Yeah.
I promise. Yeah, it's been going on for a while. And I know there was a point in time with the modern seasons where people were unhappy with it. I've always kind of enjoyed it, but I feel like now, watching some of the more recent episodes, they've kind of like picked it back up again. They're actually quite good in these very recent episodes. So if anybody felt like a lull and they're a fan, you know, I would check out some of the recent stuff because it's quite good. But yeah, long running. I don't know when they're going to end it. I know the movie's coming out in like a year or two, so I don't know if that's going to be the end of it, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be. So they can do whatever they want. They can make it for as long as they need to.
Yeah, so 36 years, a lot of time to evolve, but to talk about you continuing to evolve, what are some of your hopes and dreams personally or professionally?
Yeah, so it's always the age-old, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
I always ask myself that because there's like, I know where I'm going to be, and then also like, I don't really know. Like, I love Connecticut. I grew up here. I've lived in Connecticut my whole life. I'm pretty rooted here. Most of my family's here. So I think I'm going to be living in Connecticut. I would love to work again in state. I'm very rooted here. So like if I worked at like ESPN in Bristol, or if I worked at like Hartford Healthcare's production team, or even like a marketing agency in the state or something, or like working for, you know, I love working with sports. Like I was a sports intern at News 8 in New Haven last spring. So I did a lot of work like going out and filming games and writing scripts and like I did a couple mock casts where I was in front of the camera with my suit on, and
nice.
so I love that world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I envision myself being, somewhere in the content world, broadcasting, that kind of thing. So just living like a quiet life, working that kind of a job. I know it could be odd hours, but I'm willing to adapt to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how the industry is. I've accepted that. So I want to stick where I am. I feel like I found the right niche.
Yeah.
And that's what I am so happy about at the end of my time at Quinnipiac. I'm like, I'm doing what I like. Sometimes it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I go to bed and I'm like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what I did today. And so I want to keep that going.
Which is really what it's all about and what you should be looking for, and all these things you do in college. That's how you kind of find those things you love and then build yourself for it like you have. And I want to ask you, what's probably your favorite question on here? What are some of your favorite movies?
All time, I have a few. I'll mention really quick one that might be rising up very slowly on my list. It's a very recent release, and you've already mentioned it. But Project Hail Mary is slowly making its way up a list of movies that I adore. Because touching back on what I was talking about before with the committee thing, it is a huge budget movie. But the script has like indie aspects to it. It's a very intimate and personal story. It's like two main characters. There's a lot of side characters that are very important throughout the movie, but there's two characters that are the forefront, and their relationship, their friendship is so intimate that it's like you see all the spectacle, all the wonder, and the amaze, and where all the money went. But then you see where the passion went. And the passion went into the stuff that really matters. And at the end, it's just like the quintessential blockbuster. I am also a massive fan of Star Wars. There's no moseying around that. I adore, pretty much, hot take, I guess. But I love all the movies, all 9 of them.
Yeah.
I have my problems with some of them, but I could put them on any time of the day and just really love them. But if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be Empire Strikes Back. Original take there. But that's like how you do a movie sequel. Because I get so weary of sequels nowadays. Where I'm like, are they going to like follow up the story in a meaningful way? Are they going to follow up on the characters and where they were left off? And Empire Strikes Back does that tenfold. It not only advances the characters, but it advances the world. It expands upon everything. So that's why it's probably my favorite. And of course, there's a movie that I think is perfect. I would change nothing about it, and that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Best adventure movie. It's like probably my favorite action movie of all time. And I'm now getting all these videos on my Instagram feed of people analyzing scenes from it. Like Steven Spielberg's directing, the music, the light. Like they're literally analyzing everything in these scenes. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of it that way. But this movie's timeless. Like we're over 40 years later, and people are finding new ways to interpret what Steven Spielberg was doing in the moment. So that movie totally sticks out to me. And I'll go back even further. Rear Window. I don't know if people have ever seen that movie. It's a Hitchcock movie. It is fantastic. It is like you're stuck in this one apartment room, and he's in his wheelchair, and he suspects that a neighbor from across the way in this apartment complex has murdered his wife. So he's got his binoculars, which is his camera, with the long lens, and he's zooming in, and it's like the sound design is fantastic because you can't hear what's happening in each individual department. Like that's my sound person coming in. So you can't hear what's happening in these apartments. You hear what the guy playing the piano is playing in the apartment right nearby. And whatever he's playing is always different depending on like the tension of the scene or what's happening. And it's just, I'm enthralled every time I watch it, even though I've seen it multiple times. So I definitely recommend that as a watch for people. But I love movies that test me, like emotionally and mentally. Like I like Hail Mary tests me intelligently because I'm like, I don't understand the science behind it, but that sounds right. Like it makes sense in a way that they can adapt these stories to different audiences and make it accessible, but also have that layer of it that's deeper for like the fans of like the franchise. Like striking a balance. I love movies that do that. I could talk for hours about like Avengers Endgame. Like that's another favorite of mine. But I love movies that just strike that balance between those two things.
Yeah. And you mentioned being enthralled, and overall, Jack, I was enthralled by this episode, so thank you so much for coming on today.
Of course.
And I'm curious if you have any motivational words or any plugs or anything you'd want to like leave the audience with.
I love the word evolve because you are never a fully formed human. I don't think that. Like you will never reach a peak in your life where you're like, yeah, I am who I am now. Like nothing is like you're going to change. You're going to learn things. You're going to experience things like happy, sad, frustrated. You're gonna have regrets. There's so many different things that happen in life that just impact you and change your viewpoint of the world. Like I can think of a few things that have happened to me, like in the last week, where I'm like, maybe that's how other people see. Like that's a perspective. So just attacking the world with an open mind is what I try to do every day. And just being, introspective, open-minded. Like you are not always going to be the same person, especially if you're younger. Like if you're in middle school and you think that, you know what, I think I'm pretty much the kind of person I'm going to end up being. Not at all. That's just even now I'm like a couple months ago, I'm like, I'm pretty, I'm feeling pretty good about like where I am. And then like a couple months later, I'm like, it's a different person. It's like, that's just how it works. And it's in droves. So that's what I would leave people on, is just open mind, accept improv. Improv life. Yes, and
exactly
whatever happens.
And I appreciate your perspective on that. And it's really what you bring to every interaction. You always have a quick joke or or a fun opinion or viewpoint on something. So that's something I always appreciate. You're always fun to be around, and I appreciate you coming on the show today.
I love this. Again, I cannot wait to show this to my kids in years from now. Again, I don't have kids right now. I'm not going to show my kids this video until later on.
In case anyone was wondering.
In case anyone was wondering and they missed the beginning part. Or they had skipped 5 seconds when I said, I'm going to show this to my kids. And then you missed. Oh, yeah, 5 seconds.
Just turned off the video. That's all I need to listen to.
I'm going to show this to my kids. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Thank you again, Jack. And as always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for listening.